Hi everybody, we're going to talk about the triangle unit review now. So you guys just don't listen. Now, first thing that we talk about with the triangle unit review is naming or classifying triangles. We could do this by side. We talk about scalene. We could talk about isosceles. And we could talk about equilateral. Scalene, 0 sides are equal. Isosceles, 2 sides. Well, we'll say congruent. And equilateral, 3 sides are congruent. By angle, we can talk about acute, which means 3 angles are acute. A right triangle, 1 angle is a right angle. We have 2 acute angles. And obtuse, where 1 angle is obtuse. 2 are acute angles. So when we classify this, we have to figure out either what the angles are or what the sides are. Normally, if we give 2 name triangle, it's the angle classification. And then it's a side classification. So we'd say something like it's a right isosceles triangle. Sometimes you only have to do things by angle, sometimes you only have to do things by sides. But if you have to do things by both, then you're in business from there. Now, that's name and classifies. 2. The big theorems of the section that you need to know. And I'll make a triangle right here. And we'll call this A, B, C. Where this is A, that's B, that's C. It's angle 1, 2, 3, 4. The triangle sum theorem says add up the angles. Measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 3 plus the measure of angle 4. These are all the interior angles, 2, 3, and 4. Add them up, you get 180 degrees. This is a big one that we'll always use. The exterior angle theorem. It says that angle 1, the measure of angle 1, this angle right here is equal to the sum of the 2 angles that are farthest away. Measure of angle 3 plus the measure of angle 4. That's another big theorem that we'll end up using. A vertical angle theorem. Angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. This is what I call the bow tie If you have triangles in the shape of a bow tie, you're in business, because at least you know that two of the angles are going to be congruent to each other. Some other theorems that you end up using: linear pair, measure of angle 1 plus measure of angle 2 is equal to 180 degrees. That's another big angle theorem that we have there. Another one, that'd be 5, I would imagine, instead of 4. We call it the base angle theorem. If you have an isosceles triangle, the base angles are congruent. So, if you have an isosceles triangle here, there's a leg, there's a leg, there's the base. There are your base angles right there. Thank you. The relationship between the legs and the opposite angles are always going to work for there. And I guess 6 we could call it. Equilateral triangle theorem. If you have an equilateral triangle, then all 3 sides are congruent. All 3 angles are 60 degrees. So those are the big theorems that we deal with. Now, some other theorems, when we get into what we call a triangle congruency. You only need 3 parts in one triangle to be congruent. To 3 parts in a second triangle. One test is side, side, side. That one works. Side, angle, side. Side, angle, side. Side, angle, side. Angle, side, angle. Angle, side, angle. Angle, side, angle. That will work. Angle, angle, side. Angle, angle, side. Angle, angle, side. And for our right triangle friends, you get something called hypotenuse leg. Get your hypotenuse and a leg. Hypotenuse and a leg. Those two triangles are congruent. The biggest thing is, these are the information that we are going to use to solve different situations. For example, if you know this is 120, you want to find x, but you know these are equilateral triangles, use a linear pair. 120 plus an unknown angle equals 180. Subtract 120. 60 degrees. But now you know this angle is congruent to this angle because we get 60 degrees there. Then you could say 60 degrees plus 60 degrees plus the unknown angle is equal to 180 degrees. You get that angle to be 60 degrees. So we can say this angle is 60 degrees. But now these are vertical angles, so that's 60 degrees. And since these two angles are the same, that's an x. X plus 60 is equal to 180 degrees. Minus 60. 2x is equal to 120 degrees. Divide by 2. X is equal 60 degrees. We're able to solve for x. So those are the types of problems that we have there. So this review that I gave you is just more about, alright, what do we need to know about triangles? And we have our theorems, the big theorems that you need to know. We have the triangle congruency theorems. One thing I didn't put over here is CP/CTC. Congruent parts. They're not congruent. Sorry, the cold's getting me. Corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. This will allow you to totally label both triangles and find relationships between sides and angles. So, let's erase that from our memories. We have some time, mostly in class. We'll do some examples tomorrow, but this is a good explanation of what is actually kind of going on with the different theorems that are going to be talked about on the test. So, know how to classify, know how to apply your theorems, know the triangle congruency theorems and CP/CTC, and then know how to put it all together to find x. So, there's your triangle review. If you got any questions, come and see me.